clicks in the offense overcame a miserable first half and helped on to beat up a banged-up Aaron Rodgers and the sloppy Jets 10-9 in a defensive standoff on a rainy Sunday in Jersey. Rodgers didn't have his best day either. He's at the mic.
We were kind of killing ourselves. I can't say I had a spectacular game. I missed some throws. The weather sucked, but so did some of my throws. When your defense holds them to 10, you gotta win the game 100% of the time. So that's on the offense. It's on me. Not good enough.
The cadence specifically, Robert said that might be something you guys have to dial back a little bit. Is that something you think could potentially help the situation?
It's one way to do it. The other way is hold them accountable. I mean, we haven't had an issue. We've had one false start. Morgan had one false start, I believe, until this. So, it's been a weapon. We use it every day in practice. We don't, we rarely have a false start. And to have, 5 today, it seemed like, 4 or 5. Yeah, it seems like an outlier. I don't know if we need to make mass changes based on, kind of an outlier game.
Rex, I see you shaking your head, so I want to come to you on this, but I feel like Robert Saleh, the jury was already out on him as a coach, and if, Aaron Rodgers is out on him, that's a whole different story. What's your reaction to what you just heard there?
Yeah, no, I think Robert was just trying to get through the press conference and deflect he's obviously going to deal with this team. He can't be happy with this, and he's going to get down to it. I think he just kind of threw something out there without really thinking about it, all right? Because there's no way Robert Saleh and company not going to hold each other accountable. I mean, that is absolutely ridiculous. So, but the fact, I love the way Aaron Rodgers handled it because he's going to be like, what? No way in hell. We are going to sit back and, we're going to change kids because we can't do something. It is a weapon. He's one of the best things about Aaron Rodgers, look, besides the amazing talent he is as a quarterback, is his use of cadence. Nobody in the league does it better than Aaron Rodgers. That has to be, you want the whole package when you get Aaron Rodgers on your team. And use this as a weapon. And to me, that's what's got to happen here. I just think Robert was just he's just trying to get the hell off of there without really thinking about what he was really saying.
Well, let me say this. Number one, there's 2 trains of thoughts here with Robert Saleh. Number one, I'm not impressed with him as a head coach, but in fairness to him, he had Zach Wilson for the most part until he had Aaron Rodgers this year. We recognize what he was working with. Number 2, you got the job because you were a defensive coordinator in San Francisco. You did a hell of a job, and we're seeing this defense do a hell of a job. And so one could easily argue that because the defense has done its job, that's pretty much, since you got Aaron Rodgers, that's pretty much what this is about. This makes this, which puts this squarely on the shoulders of Aaron Rodgers. Bo Nix is a rookie. Playing in his 4th game, the man threw for 60 yards. 60 yards, no touchdowns, and still ended up walking away to victor. One could easily argue that Robert Saleh was outcoached by a better, more experienced coach in Sean Payton, no doubt. But this does come down to Aaron Rodgers. Like he said, your defense holds a team to 10 points. You got to win the damn game. And to me, the one thing you can hold against Saleh is what he said, as opposed to what actually happened. Okay, him talking about got to get our cadence in order, et cetera, et cetera. You don't need to be saying something like that. Talk to Aaron Rodgers about that. Don't tell the media about that. But if you're Aaron Rodgers, the result is the result. You had 10 points. You had 9 points. What's that about? You got to do better than that. You got to get your team in the end zone. No touchdowns, no turnovers, but no touchdowns. I'm also going to point at the Jets' running game. When y'all going to run the football? They ran for 38 yards. And so, I mean, when you think about the Jets coming into this season offensively, yes, the Rodgers to Garrett Wilson connection was something that we salivated over in terms of the possibilities. We saw Mike Williams make a pretty good catch, a couple of really good catches yesterday as well. We like what we see from him. But in the end, it's about Breece Hall, out of that running back spot and what he's going to give you. And yesterday, their running game gave you nothing. So offensively, there was a collapse. It wasn't just on the part of Aaron Rodgers, but ultimately he and his guy, Nathaniel Hackett, are responsible for what you do on the offensive side of the ball. And the fact that you couldn't do anything against Denver yesterday was glaring, to say the least.
Yeah, Stephen A., can I bring up something? Because you bring up some great points. But a head coach is hired based on leadership.
Right.
It's not just the fact that he was hired as a really good defensive, defensive coordinator, but it's leadership. And unfortunately, on this is where Robert came up a little short. And I really like Robert, okay? But this is where he came up short on it because I don't think he was just trying to get away from it and take things off his players. Right. But attack him in the meetings and get it. He has to get it done. He has to.
Yeah, gotcha.
But unfortunately, it came off really bad.
It just did.
You know, in this
case. But
case.
it still makes you read into it and think, is there some strife between Saleh and Aaron Rodgers?
Go ahead,
I'm
Shaq.
just going to say.
Yep.
Could be.
I think the biggest thing is now you see why Stephen ain't coach or Rex, why I wouldn't be a coach. Now, how often do you think Aaron hards count in practice? Like you said, he's one of the best who have ever done it. They practice this all the time. And you're at home. If you're on the road, you know sometimes it can get loud in the stadium, guys, and you're going to have 2 or 3. But how do you false? He told you to snap count in the huddle. You're at home. You're at home. And you do this 4 or 5 times. No, you can't have those types of mistakes because the first 4 or 5 games of the season, that's your preseason. Because nobody plays in the preseason anymore, Rex. You know, guys, we used to build up. You play 10 snaps, you play 20 snaps, you play 3 quarters, you sit out the 4th game. Now these guys don't play at all, and so the first regular season game is like your 3rd preseason game. So that's why you're seeing so much influx and offenses so off-key, and we're not seeing what we're used to seeing. And I think you're going to see this is a trend of things to come. Guys don't want to play their guys in the preseason, and you're going to have this sloppy play. But I agree with you. I agree with both of you guys. I think Robert Saleh has to be careful because Aaron's going to respond, and he's going to respond in such a way that it will make it look like it's contentious between he and the head coach. After going back and listening to it several times, I think Robert Saleh was basically trying to say, look, you know, the false starts and make no. Stay your butt on side and move when the snap count says you're supposed to move. I don't think, after going back and listening to it, I don't think Rodgers was out of line. Yeah, we could change it, or we could hold the guys that keep jumping outside accountable and tell them they got to do a better job.
I want to come back to you on this. Are you hitting the panic button with the Jets right now?
Well, I was never in on the Jets. I didn't think that as great as Aaron Rodgers has been, I didn't think there was just one guy away. I don't. And he's not what he was 4 or 5 years ago. He doesn't move. He still has the arm. Yes, he does. But he doesn't move as nearly as fluid, as nearly as effortless as he once did. That Achilles, Rex, you know this. We saw that Achilles injury. It takes something out of a quarterback, especially at his age. If he was 24, 25, he could have snapped back. The man's 40. You don't snap back with the same resilience. Well, he's still resilient, but you don't snap back with the same once you start to get old as you did when you was younger. I think that's having an impact on his ability to move as fluid as he once did.
In other words, he's not Shannon Sharpe. You don't get bigger and stronger as you get older. You get weak. I mean, that's what he said. That's what Shannon Sharpe said. Okay? You don't get bigger and stronger. That's what it is.
I can't move, though.
Molly, that actually would have been a better question for me because I was the one that was all in on the Jets, and I am no longer feeling that. I'm just not. When I see Buffalo, when I see Baltimore, when I see Kansas City still finding ways to win, I just look at the New York Jets right now and the immobility of an Aaron Rodgers. He still has the touch. He still has the arm. But that leadership that you pointed to, emanating down from the head coach, what you can do to squeeze out games because of your brilliance and your acumen and your leadership capability. I don't have the kind of faith in Saleh the way that I do in a McDermott, the way that I do in a Harbaugh, the way that I do in an Andy Reid.
Coach, I'll give you the final word.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But you know what? I believe in this football team, and I believe in the talent because you mentioned Breece Hall.
Yes.
He's one of the best backs in the National Football League.
Yeah.
Put him up against any back. And I think as a Christian McCaffrey type guy, like he can do everything. We got to use him. And I say we because I still bleed green and white. There's no doubt about it. I believe in Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he's not as good as he once was. He's not as good as when he was 30, but he's better than anybody in that division outside of Josh Allen. Okay? The Dolphins, it's set up for them. The Dolphins don't even have Tua. You just saw the Buffalo Bills. That's what you got? Well, then let's give the ball to Breece when we play them. Anybody they line up against outside of the top teams, I think they're going to line up well with.
Coach, Jets came into the game second in the NFL with 14 sacks.
Right.
0 sacks yesterday. Just 2 quarterback hits.
Yeah.
And by the way, considering that inclement weather, it should have been even. Bo Nix should have been mincemeat.
We'll leave it there.